What's going on, Bengals fans? Chris Daughtry back with you guys here on Bengals Breakdown. You know what it is today. We are doing our Overreaction Monday video to the Bengals' 18-27 loss against the Green Bay Packers. I want to hear from you guys before we get into it, though. Do you have hope for the season now with Joe Flacco at quarterback? Let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no. Personally, for me, I was really struggling with Jake Browning at quarterback, but I do think with Joe Flacco at quarterback, he can set you up in a very good position to be in that playoff hunt by the time Joe Burrow gets back. So let me know how you guys feel down in the comments section of today's show. All right, let's get into some overreactions here. Number one, I am feeling pretty good about Joe Flacco at quarterback, just coming off that weigh-in that we just did there. You know, he was very, very decisive yesterday. You know, he is, I think, at this point, a massive upgrade in what you had with Jake Browning at that quarterback position, only now with a couple practices under his belt. You know, Jamar Chase had 12 targets yesterday. That's the second most for him so far this season outside of that Jags game in week 2. He hadn't had double-digit targets since that game. Same thing with T. Higgins as well. You know, he got 8 targets yesterday. That was, second for him so far this season in terms of targets outside that Jaguars game. And also, it was a season high in receiving yards for T. Higgins as well. You can see the stats right there for Joe Flacco. I think the biggest thing for him, he took care of the football. That's something that, he struggled with the Browns, and it's something that Jake Browning had struggled with here in the first couple of weeks for the Bengals. It was the second highest completion percentage for Joe Flacco this season. Number one, actually, was against the Bengals in week 1. Like I said a second ago, he was very decisive, and, if a play wasn't there, he didn't take just stupid sacks. He was throwing it just at somebody's feet. I always say, that's something that made Tom Brady really, really good throughout his career. He didn't take bad sacks. He would just, throw the football away at the end of the day. Now, it does suck that, you're coming off of a short week because of the trade that happened on Monday, Tuesday, whatever, day it ended up going down there. Either way, it was a short week of practice there for Joe Flacco. Now it's going to be another short week with Thursday night football, but he's just going to be able to get a couple more practices under his belt. You're going to get in the playbook a little bit more. And, if you beat the Steelers this week and you beat the Jets next week, you're sitting in a really good spot after that. The Bengals are 2-4 right now. If you win those next 2 games, you're 4-4. You're sitting at 500. Currently right now, you're 2-4, but you're still second in the AFC North with 11 more games to go on this schedule. Joe Flacco, I think, has rejuvenated my faith right now in this Bengals team. I think they can be in playoff contention when and if Joe Burrow ends up getting back sometime in December. And I don't think that the Bengals would have went out there and made the trade for Joe Flacco if they did not think that Joe Burrow would be back this season. So we asked this last night, but I want to ask it again here. Grade Joe Flacco versus the Green Bay Packers. Type A, B, C, D, or F down at the pinned comment of today's video. I think it's a B for me personally. Was he perfect? Absolutely not. But he was definitely an upgrade in what you've been getting at that quarterback position. So let me know. You guys be the judge down at the pinned comment of today's video. Now, this one might be controversial, but I have seen it thrown out there on Twitter. Trade Logan Wilson. I hate to say it because, Logan Wilson is a very, big leader on this Bengals team right now, but you might want to even consider trading him right now. He only played 12 snaps on defense versus the Packers yesterday, and it's kind of crazy. He actually played more snaps on special teams, 13, than he did on defense, where he had 12. He's literally a team captain, and he's getting outplayed by rookies right now. Barrett Carter had himself a day yesterday. He led the team in tackles, and Zach Taylor in the postgame press conference said that, Logan Wilson does still have a role on this team right now, and he also did say it says more about what Barrett Carter has been doing rather than, it just being a slight on Logan Wilson. I saw the idea kicked around on Twitter yesterday that, if he's not playing, there's probably a team out there that needs a veteran linebacker. Could you get a fifth for him? I don't necessarily know. I think that's kind of on the high end, but I think at the very least, you could get a 6th-round pick for Logan Wilson. Maybe you could even do some type of, player swap, get an extra, offensive lineman for some depth there. But, if Logan Wilson isn't going to be playing for you, you've got plenty of linebackers right now. You might want to consider trading him. All right, we'll come back to some more overreactions here in just a second, but this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, which means you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Josh Allen's passing yards, rush yards, and touchdowns. Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. This is what we got going for the Monday night slate of games. 2 games here coming up tonight. Bijan Robinson going with the more than for him on rushing attempts at 15.5. Keon Coleman going with the less than for him on receiving yards, 39.5 for them. And then the second game tonight, going with Caleb Williams, more than a half interception for him. And then Ja'Cory Merritt going with more than a half touchdown for him. That one can be receiving or rushing as well. Prize Picks is super simple to play. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in today. Play Prize Picks to get action on football in more than 40 different states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That link is down in the description of today's show. It's also going to be down at the pinned comment of today's show as well. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, overreaction number 3. The injuries that the Bengals had yesterday are a bit concerning. I don't think this is an overreaction at all. You had 3 players really got banged up in yesterday's game. Trey Hendrickson left at halftime with a back injury, did not come back. Mike Gesicki left, I believe that was in the first quarter. It was early on in the first half of that game. They ruled him out very quickly with a pec injury, and pec injuries can be weird. If that thing gets torn, that could be a very, very long time. That could be the end of the season for Mike Gesicki. Totally speculating on that. I have no idea what it is, but pec injuries can be really tricky there. And Amarius Mims as well left with I'm going to call it a lower leg injury. Don't exactly know if it was a foot injury or an ankle injury. Now, when it comes to the severity of these injuries, we'll start off here with Trey Hendrickson. I think, Joseph Osai has actually played pretty well the past couple of weeks here. I was kind of tough on him to start the season out. I didn't really think he started the season out very hot, but, he is actually starting to come around and play a whole lot better now. Had another tackle for loss yesterday. But he's not Trey Hendrickson at the end of the day. It's a short week, so we'll see what happens with Shamar Stewart's ankle injury. We're getting to that point now where he has been practicing in a limited fashion. Hopefully he can be out there for that Thursday night football game. I think Mike Gesicki right now is your best receiving tight end. Noah Fant obviously up there as well. I think he's actually your leading receiver in terms of those receiving yards at that tight end spot. But, Tanner Hudson, Drew Sample, I think those guys are good red zone targets as well. So I'm not terribly concerned about the injury to Mike Gesicki. I think he got a lot of depth at that tight end spot. But, Amarius Mims being out, if this one's bad, it does make me very, very concerned. It might be the most concerning injury, I think, of the 3 that happened last night. This offensive line already is not very good, and if you have to run out Orlando Brown Jr., who has been not good at all this season, gave up a couple more sacks last night. Dalton Reisner played that left guard spot yesterday for you with Dylan Fairchild being out. Ted Karras has kind of had an okay season. I think he's probably been your second best offensive lineman outside of Amarius Mims there. Jalen Rivers played at right guard, and then when Amarius Mims went out, Cody Ford went in there. It does make me very, very nervous at this offensive line right now. Because if you got to trot out those 5 guys, Orlando Brown, Dalton Reisner, Ted Karras, Jalen Rivers, and Cody Ford, rip to whoever's playing quarterback, because I don't think anybody could be successful behind that group. All right, whenever we get a real injury update on those 3 guys, really didn't hear anything at all on the post-game press conference per Zach Taylor, and there really hasn't been any reports out so far today. Whenever those injury reports come out, we will have a video or a short for you guys. Kind of depends on the severity of those injuries there, but we will have content out for you guys. We're also going to be live for every single Bengals game, and we have a signed Ocho Cinco jersey that we're giving away for the month of October. So make sure you guys hit that sub button and stay up to date on all things Bengals news. All right, overreaction number 4. I thought DJ Turner played really well yesterday. This is not an overreaction at all. I think right now he is by far the Bengals' best corner. You know, every single, just going through that game yesterday, 20 was making plays all over the field last night. He had 4 more tackles yesterday, including a tackle for loss and 5 breakups, pass breakups in that game yesterday. Overall, in 2025, right over 54% completion percentage allowed. That's really, really good for a cover corner. Only, 175 or 9 yards allowed for him. Does have an interception and does have 11 pass breakups so far this season. Right now, I think DJ Turner is by far the Bengals' best corner. So I want to hear from you guys down inside the comments section. I know CTB is not even close here. Maybe the other one, Dax Hill, but still, I think DJ Turner is playing a whole lot better than him right now. So let me know what you guys think. Is DJ Turner the Bengals' best corner right now? Type 1 for yes or 0 for no. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. All right, overreaction number 5. This one's a bit spicy here. I think it might be time to activate Jermaine Burton if Zach Taylor thinks he can trust him at this point. Those drops last night by Andre Yoshivas really made me crash out at times. The big one really happened, in the fourth quarter. It was 3rd and 8. You're driving the football. You're down to the Packers' 27-yard line, and he ends up dropping that ball. It's a 17-7 game. At that point, Bengals are moving the ball pretty well down the field, and you have to settle for a field goal because you end up dropping that ball, make it 17-10. Now, there is no guarantee that the Bengals end up going down the field and scoring a touchdown on that drive, but, man, it's 3rd and 8. The ball hits you right in the hands. You have got to catch that football if you're Andre Yoshivas. And also, outside of the Lions game last week, he's just kind of been a non-factor for this Bengals team so far. I want to see more Mitchell Tinsley. I don't really understand why Charlie Jones isn't getting any kind of offensive playing time. I think he's got 3 snaps all year on the offensive side of the ball. All you have Charlie Jones doing right now is fair catching punts and returning kickoffs. I don't know if the Bengals can trust Jermaine Burton right now enough to actually activate him. I think that's a very, very fair, way to think there. This is the NFL. You have to hold guys accountable. By all accounts, he was doing pretty good, throughout the offseason, throughout training camp. It was late to one practice early in the season. They, ended up, he's just been a healthy scratch for every single game so far this year. But I think he is an upgrade with what you have right now in the return game. Help yourself out a little bit on special teams and activate Jermaine Burton and at least let him, return punts, return kickoffs. I also think he's another deep ball threat that you can have receiving-wise as well. He cannot end up being another busted top 100 pick for Zach Taylor and Duke Tobin. You picked him with a number 80 pick in last year's NFL draft, 3rd-round pick. I understand if you can't trust him at this point. By all accounts, though, he did have that one hiccup. He was late for one practice, but I think Jermaine Burton is an upgrade with what you have right now in Andre Yoshivas. You're obviously not playing Charlie Jones there either, and we haven't really seen a lot of Mitchell Tinsley out there either. So, if you think you can trust Jermaine Burton, I think it's time to activate him.